What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I'm joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
Tough weekend. Lose 2 or 3 to a surging White Sox squad. Had a shot to win a couple, couldn't get it done. It is what it is. It feels like this an every year occurrence right after the deadline. So, it's good. How about you, buddy?
Doing as good as can be, Not a great start to the post deadline, though. Got a little Trey Gregory Alfred up on the screen right now, and Hayden Alvarez as well. So I'm not doing too bad. I'm got minor league baseball on, which I'm not too upset about at the moment. So, with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening here at Talking Halos. Go ahead, like, subscribe, follow, do all that fun stuff. I didn't, whatever the YouTubers say today. Go ahead, do all those things for us. Leave a review. Did I miss anything? Nope, that's everything, right? Leave a review, follow us on all our social medias,
Hit the
X,
bell.
Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. Follow us on all our social medias, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow myself on X, Jared underscore Tim's Nate at Nate Green 34. Derek should be back. Derek should be back next
Next
podcast.
podcast.
He should be. We'll see though. We shall see. But he should be back next podcast. He is visiting California right now, so pretty cool to see that. And before we get rolling here with an eventful podcast, I have a weird feeling it's going to be eventful. I could totally be wrong. Eventful podcast. Give us 1 second to pay those pesky bills. All right, Nate. It's your time to shine, buddy. It's your time to shine.
uh,
No, I think we feel the same way. I want to first start off. I mean, we can talk White Sox series. I don't think there's much to talk about. I think it was a sloppy series in general. We can get that out of the way if you want to. Like, just
yeah.
talk about that series real quick. Sloppy series, not a fun series. It was good to see Game Three, them come back and Taylor Ward walk it off. Nice swing by the world famous Taylor Blake Ward, by the way. But yeah, good to see Game Three. But would love to have seen them take two of three or sweep for sure. But sloppy baseball all around. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. Typical Tyler Anderson start. Bullpen didn't really help him out, which, what else is new? Very similar to what we've seen all first half out of Tyler Anderson and the bullpen. And, newly acquired Luis Garcia kind of pitched like he normally did with the Angels, gave a run, didn't look sharp, but whatever. Game two, I thought Hendricks threw the ball well. The Angels got one hit against the world famous Aaron Cifali. Cy Young contender Aaron Savali, the way he pitched yesterday, he lowered his ERA to 3.99. It, I don't know. You get one hit. It's pretty embarrassing to get one hit against the Chicago White Sox. Like there's just no words to be said when you get one hit against a team like that. Going back to Friday, they really shot themselves in the foot. I thought Nolan Shanuel tied the game, and sloppy base running. Um, Campero was it? Campero was really bad. He tried to go first to third. Darno tried to score, and somehow the right fielder hit the shortstop, and the shortstop hit the third baseman, and still threw Campero out. And of course, Darno did everything correctly. He ran hard, didn't score. He would have scored on the play, but they tagged out Campero before he crossed home plate, and it's like, man, well, that would have tied the game. That changes the way that you approach the innings with the bullpen and things like that. And it's like, man, just mistake after mistake after mistake. And that's kind of what we've seen all year long with this team. Just very stupid mistakes. Um, and yeah, they won the game today. Jackie Hanna, which was awful. Um, you can tell me that he ended up pitching 6 innings, big deal, 9 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Awful outing out of Jackie Hanowitz. It's kind of embarrassing that he is a starting pitcher right now. That you have nobody better to throw out there on this major league roster. And I'm sure it will get into it a little bit more, but just awful.
Oh, that's all I got on the White Sox series. I mean, yeah, bad series for sure. Good to see Taylor Ward walk it off for sure. Good to see the Angels come back down five, and end up winning that game. Absolute must win if you think that they're going to be going anywhere. I think they're what, five and a half out of wild card spot right now. So absolutely got to start winning series down the stretch here if you think they're gonna compete. Let's get on to we didn't have a chance to jump on. We wanted to. We
I
didn't
think it
get
was
to
good.
what?
I think it was good we didn't jump on right after.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think it's fair for the people to hear. what we have to say. We have an audience. Some people like what we say, some people don't. But I would have liked to have jumped on when it was that Thursday and broken some trades down, talked about it. But it's okay. I do want to talk about it now. Trade deadline. The Angels go out and stay put. I'm not going to say they bought
Soft
Nate.
buy.
You're going to say they bought. I'm going to just say that they stayed put. Couple trades that they made. I know everybody knows about it, but Andrew Chafin and Luis Garcia for Jake Eater and Sam Brown. The report on Sam Brown, I've seen him plenty of times. It's first base only. He can play a little bit of outfield, but really a first baseman, not a lot of power. I think he's got maybe 5 home runs on the year, if that. He didn't have a home run for the first 40 games of the season or something like that. More of that gap to gap power, doesn't strike out a whole lot. He is 2 ticks down from Nolan Shonowell. Sam Brown is a fantastic person, but a non prospect. So there's that. And then they make the trade with the Yankees to get a fifth infielder of the future, I guess is what you can kind of say. I don't know if that's going to be it or not, but they get Oswaldo Peraza for Wilberson DePena and international signing bonus money. Wilberson DePena was batting 211 before he got traded with the org. He did go 2 for 4, I think, the day he got traded with a triple and a double. So there is that. But I did like the swing. The Angels signed him for I think $50,000 out of Dominican Republic. So again, somebody that was a non-prospect in my books. So those of you who were worried about losing prospects and things like that, they really didn't lose any prospects. Jake Eater was probably going to pop up on the top prospect list here or there, but other than that, he was gonna. He was gonna pop up on Baseball Americas. In fact, I think he was on Baseball Americas because certain people
Because
at
the
Baseball America like him. So
because there's the Angels prospects are so bad that you have to throw Jake Eater on there. Like,
um, not necessarily Jake. I mean, Jake Eater, he's he was a prospect. Like he was, I think he was a top 100 prospect at one point. In the Braves organization before he got traded. I don't know if that's still the case. I wasn't going to put him in my top 30 prospect list by any means, but he might have appeared in some people's top 30 list. It was a good thing he did get traded so that some people didn't have to put him in this top 100, but or top 30 list. But regardless, Angels make 2 trades. I guess I can agree with you. They soft buy. And I would rather them have done this than completely go out and buy. But first, Nate, go ahead, give your initial thoughts on the trade deadline. I know everybody wants to hear you, so I'll give you the floor here.
I do have a question. When the Angels acquired Franklin Barreto, what was your thought on the Franklin Barreto a couple
Uh,
years back?
Kind of the same. It's kind of the same as Peraza, where it's
That's
like,
why I brought it up
yeah,
because it's literally the exact same as
yeah,
Oswald Peraza.
yeah. I'm always gonna like the idea of going and getting like a former top 100 prospect or a former top prospect in any organization that just didn't pan out. Like if I was not doing this Angels thing and I was a fan of another team, or if I was covering another team, I'd say, hey, the Angels before this year, hey, so and so's team should go get Joe Adell because like that's the type of GM or person that I like is like someone that goes and takes those chances on prospects like that. So I did like the Bredo trade. There was a lot to be left there for sure, but yeah, I liked it. I thought it was whatever. It's like, oh, you give him a chance, you give him a second opportunity, and the same thing goes here with Peraza. It's like, oh, like it's not the difference between winning and losing a World Series or going to the playoffs and not going to the playoffs, but it's worth taking a shot at a guy like that, especially if he was going to get DFA'd or something like that. Like
Well,
I
he
like it. I
was
like
getting
those trades.
DFA'd. That's literally what happened. He was going to get DFA'd.
Yeah, I like those trades though for former prospects and such like that.
He literally was about an hour away from being DFA'd because they had just traded for Jose Caballo.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, does anyone want this guy? And the Angels were like, sure. He fits our soft buy. He's probably the same as Kevin Newman and probably, doesn't really hurt us, which is what it is. Like, Jake Eater, the highest he ever got was, I see him top five with the Marlins was the highest I ever saw him get. That doesn't mean he didn't get there with the White Sox, but so not really as high as you thought, but sure. Um, very, very disappointed in this deadline. I think soft buy was literally the worst case scenario for this team. Personally. I would have rather them go out and find a Lamont Wade Jr. replacement than say, hey, you know what? We've got a guy in Teodosio who's the Lamont Wade replacement. If Teodosio was that good, like why did you take him off your 40-man roster in the offseason? Why is he on the roster right now? I get that he's a very good defensive center fielder, but you're telling me that you couldn't have gone out in the market and found a guy that could play center field that is a better than let's give him 50 WRC plus because that's probably about that might even be a little too high on what he ends up being the rest of the year is 50 WRC plus, but sure, let's call it 50. And if you were going to move Joe Adell to right field, which it looks like they have done so far in the Teodosio Experiment 2.0, again, that just makes it like, why did you not go get a center fielder? Like, what was the point of this trade deadline? Sure, you could have done the exact same thing with a Peraza, found a guy that's similar to Peraza out of options, a guy that could play center field that makes sense for the Angels, or um, maybe you could have even asked Washington about Robert Hassel III. Who knows? Obviously, I'm not saying that the Nationals were just going to give him away, and I don't think they should have given him away. But maybe there was a guy that the Angels could have included in the trade to add Robert Hassel III, and that would be similar to what Jared was talking about, a prospect that can play center field. He's got options, which would be the one thing that's better um, than Peraza or I guess even Teodosio is he has options and like there's still the chance of him hitting. I don't think there's any chance of Teodosio hitting. Um, so that was a head scratcher to me. And then we're running Jack Hanowitz out there. Like the fact that you went and got two relievers was the frustrating part to me. I would have rather you just said, "Hey, we're not going to do anything," and oh, hey, Peraza became available at the last minute because he was going to be a DFA, and the Angels were like, "Hey, we'll give you this kid and some money. It's not a big deal." Like that trade doesn't piss me off, even if the Angels DFA him at the end of the year, just because of the way that rosters get constructed in the offseason. I could see him easily get DFA'd if he struggles with the Angels, but it's I'm just frustrated with the way that things went about this off or this trade deadline, and I think the other thing that's going to be frustrating is Peraza is not going to get an actual chance to prove that he should be on this roster. Um, we have Luis Rengifo, we have Yohan Moncada, we have Christian Moore who came back today, and I just don't see how Peraza is going to get a shot to play every day. I think even the first day of the trade on Friday, where he was active, they they let Yohan Moncada play third, and I think they had Gustavo Campero DHing, and it's like you could give. We already know Campero's not a hitter. Like he's a fourth outfielder at best. Let Peraza hit. Let's see what we have in him, and I think that's going to be another frustrating thing going on throughout this year. Is like, is he actually going to get a chance? I don't think so, and um, I would argue that this was the worst team during the trade deadline of any team in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. On the Jack Kahanowitz front, I think that his time is coming to a not an end with the Angels by any means. I think he's going to stick around for sure. I think he's got a future, maybe in the bullpen or something like that, or as a spot starter. I think that at least from what I saw out of Caden Dana in AAA, I think that he's very close. I think that gets switched very, very quickly here in the next week or so. I'd be shocked. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Kahanowitz made his next start, but I'd be surprised if he got hit around again like he did today and looked like he did today. It wouldn't surprise me if Caden Dana was up in a week in like 2 weeks or something like that. On that front, um, order of my frustrations because yes, I don't disagree with you. Um, I'm not as frustrated. I'm not as upset. I'm not as disappointed as I was in 2023 when they went and full on bought just because they had Shohei Ohtani. And you look at the schedule that they had in 2023, and it was like this is not going to be good. This is going to be an absolute shit show. And so I'm not as frustrated as I was in 2023 by any means. I would have been more frustrated with this year. if they would have went and fully bought. In my opinion, like you're yeah, that's just where I would have been. My next frustration is what they just did, which was basically standing pat. Like that's what I'm looking at. They needed some bullpen help, regardless of if it was a trade deadline or not. They needed to go and get some help in the bullpen. They were going bullpen games. The bullpen's absolutely depleted. They needed some help in AAA. Like you need innings. Um, and I said it, you need a fifth infielder just in case somebody gets hurt because Mancada's been hurt for the majority of the year, or someone sucks because Renifo was one of the worst is and or was and still is technically the worst second baseman in baseball this year. So you needed a fourth infielder. Um, I would have been extremely happy if they would have gone out and sold. And I know that's not what Artie wanted at the end of the day. So there is that. What I think they should have done if to kind of meet in the middle between what Perry wanted, between what Artie wanted was you go get a fourth out, you go get a fourth outfielder, you go get a fifth infielder, you go get some type of starting pitcher that eats innings. Like if you can find Kyle Hendrick 2.0 and say like, hey, it's not Jack Hanowitz. You went and got bullpen help. And then you went and you were able to sell Kenley Jansen. You put Reed Detmers in that closer spot, and then you go and just because that the market that was out there was absolutely insane for bullpen help. Like Kenley Jansen for George Clausen and Samuel Aldegari again would have been a fantastic move. And I think they would have gotten that and more in a sense for Kenley because I think Kenley is more valuable, especially around this time and especially Kenley's experience in the postseason. On top of that, I think they should have traded one of Luis Renifo and Yoel Moncada. I probably would have preferred Yoel Moncada because of the injury history, but it is what it is there. With that being said, what I would have done, and I know Carlos Correa probably would not have waived his no trade clause, but if you were able to go trade for Correa because the Astros gave up absolutely nothing, and you're able to, take on a much lesser salary because I think that Minnesota ended up paying 30 million of it, 30 million of the 110 million left or something like that,
Yeah, which
120.
is like the rest of this year and like half of next year's contract.
Yeah. So if you were able to go get Carlos Correa, stick him at third base, that fills a hole
Carlos
for
Correa, but that's a pipe dream. Correa was never going
correct.
to. Correa literally came out and said the only team that I was going to waive my no trade clause for was the Houston Astros. So
Yeah.
like, it's not even a talking point to be like, oh, we would have gotten Carlos Correa. That's like saying, oh, hey, I would have signed, fill in the blank with whoever. It's like that guy wasn't signing with the Angels. The Angels didn't have that kind of money, or I would have traded for. Um, and you could fill in the blank with anyone at this deadline, and it would have probably been the Angels don't have the prospects to get so and so. Like, hey, I would have traded for Mason Miller. Okay, we don't have the prospects to go get Mason Miller, so what? Like, doesn't really. It's kind of a waste.
Yeah, and then I probably then you look at getting some type of third baseman for the future. Like Ryan McMahon would have been nice if the Yankees didn't get him so early. Like that type of move. Not saying it had to be Carlos Correa, not saying it had to be Nolan Arenado. I know fans are like, "Oh, you're not going to take on that kind of money. That's perfectly fine. It's a pipe dream. That's perfectly fine." I would have tried to. I would have made the call and seen what it would have taken to get Carlos Correa in Anaheim. Um, and then I would have traded again Kenley somewhere for those two those two prospects, whether it's a center fielder, so you don't have to call up Bryce Theodosio or somebody like that. Though I do like Bryce. I think that he's a very good defender. I think he's one of the best defend. He could be one of the best defenders in baseball. I prefer him not get that time because I don't think he's a very good hitter. But regardless, I think he's a very good defensive center fielder. So yeah, trade deadline wise, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Like they could have done so much more than soft buy, whatever we want to call it. They could have gone out and sold a lot of pieces and made themselves better for the future, and they unfortunately they did not. And that would have been really nice to see them get a little bit better for the future instead of a little bit better right now, which is what they did. They got a little bit better right now. I wouldn't say they got much better, but they got a little bit better. They got a little bit deeper. I will say this: I do like Andrew Chafin. He's been one of my favorite relievers for a long time. I like the enthusiasm. I like what he brings to the bullpen, to the clubhouse, all that stuff. So, you got any final thoughts before we get on to previewing the Tampa Bay Rays series, man?
Uh, One other thing to bring up is like what the Angels did. They could have just waited the 24 hours and picked up all the guys that got DFA'd after the deadline and just been like, hey, we're gonna go pick up Vidal Brujan, and that's our fifth infielder. Like, I'm fine with the Peraza trade. That one's like, hey, he was going to be DFA'd. You didn't really give up much for him. But there was Brian Dela Cruz from the Yankees who was DFA'd. You could have gone to pick him up and said, hey, you are going to be the new fourth outfielder, Lamont Wade Jr. You're gone. There were relievers that were DFA'd that have, I'm not going to say they're as good as Andrew Chafin, but like you could have gone to go get a couple guys that were DFA'd after, or you could have done something similar with Peraza when Matt Manning was going to be DFA'd after some of the Tigers trades and said, "Hey, we'll go add Matt Manning to this team," and done that as well. So there was, if you were going to do this, I think that you should have just waited and been like, "Hey, we'll just wait for all these guys to get DFA'd." Um, I do agree that I would have looked at the third base market. I would have looked at the center field market. Cincinnati is a team that I've been banging the table for and saying they have a gross amount of third base options. Call them and see if we could work out a deal where maybe we get a third baseman, they get Taylor Ward. It's a lot easier to replace an outfielder, especially a corner outfielder, over a third baseman. The Angels have not had a good third baseman, and you could go back and say Troy Gloss, and that could be a realistic answer. If you could say Alberto Callas, but that's not like a crazy answer. You could say Chone Figgins, which is, not a crazy answer. Like legitimately, the last time the Angels had a third baseman that was a silver slugger, all-star, like you could pencil it in. He was that type of player. It was Troy Gloss. So the Angels have been trying to fix this position for 20, 22 years or so, and they haven't been able to fix it. They've been able to fix corner outfielder whenever they wanted to. So I would have definitely entertained an offer if Cincinnati said, "Hey, we'll take Taylor Ward and we'll give you, I'll fill, I'll be a part of your pipe dream with the Carlos Correa and say, hey, we get Noel V. Marte, and they get Taylor Ward and something else." So that would have been something I would have been super pumped about, but I just didn't understand the soft buy on guys that like Luis Garcia could have been DFA'd by the Nationals 2 days after the deadline because it probably was something where if he didn't get traded, he was going to be DFA'd because he was already DFA'd once this month. So I don't know. It was absolutely awful, awful job. I would argue the worst in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get on to the preview here, shall we?
Sure.
Tampa Bay Rays. You got game one, Kikuchi against the newly acquired Adrian Hauser. What do you got?
Hauser's been unreal. I wouldn't be shocked if he throws another one hitter like his boy Savali did. Um, Tampa Bay is banged up going into the series. They did some weird things as well at the deadline, added and subtracted at the same time. Arianda is out for a lot of time. I would say at least 4 to 6 weeks. Yandy Diaz luckily has been able to come back. I think the way that the Rays do things, they're going to be more prepared than the Angels. The Rays win game one.
I am the opposite there. I think that I think Kikuchi's going to take it in game one. I really, really do. So I will take the dub there. I just deleted everything, so I don't know the pitching matchups now on this one. I think it's Pepiot against Jose Soriano in game two.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Pepiot against Jose Soriano in game two. What do you got?
Should be a really good one. Both guys have kind of had their ups and downs this year. They're really high highs and they're really low lows. Um, Pepio and Angel Stadium, I like the matchup for him there as well. Um, but I'm gonna say Soriano pitches good enough to get the dub. The Angels win game two.
It depends on which Soriano we see. I like Soriano here. So I will go another win there. And then game three, it's Tyler Anderson against Shane Baz. Got it.
Yeah, but Boz gets it done.
Yeah.
Rays win. Anderson sucks.
Yeah, I'll go against Anderson there. I got the Angels taking 2 or 3. You get the Angels losing 2 or 3. You got any final thoughts before we let everybody go?
The fact that you have more faith in Tyler Anderson than Kyle Hendricks is just gross. It's
I said they're
gross.
losing game
I
3.
know, but you act like there's a little bit of a chance with Tyler Anderson on the mound, and if Kyle Hendricks is on the mound, it's like, I can't pick again. I can't pick him. He's just not good, and it's like the Tyler
My
Anderson.
thought on those two have switched actually. Like at the beginning of the season, I was scared about Kyle Hendricks going out there every fifth day. Now, like I'm okay with him going out there every fifth day. It's not beautiful, but I know he's gonna give the Angels a chance to win unless he absolutely blows up, which he hasn't in the past 15 starts or something like that. So he's got
He
the track
lowered his
record.
ERA to 4.59.
Yeah, and I mean Tyler Anderson has been the complete opposite. At the beginning of the season, he was absolutely doors, like lights out, fantastic. And now over the past 15 starts, give or take, he's been probably the worst pitcher in baseball behind Jack Kahanowitz, you know? So, like,
I
it's
don't
been
know
the
if he's been
exact
worse than
opposite.
Jack. Jack is pretty bad.
Yeah, I think Dan is up before we know it there. So, with all that being said, guys, thanks so much for watching and listening here at Talking Halos. Go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow myself on X, Jared_Tim's Nate at Nate Green 34. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.